Handoff, Adrian up the middle, room to the 20, cuts to the left to the 25, and Adrian's loose! He splits the defense! 50, 40, 30, goodbye, baby! Touchdown!
We bleed purple, and our bones are gold. Hear the horns coming out of our dome, behold. We are Minnesota Vikings fans. We love when a player scores, we roar, ignite the stands.
Hey there, Vikings fans who are listening to the Purple People podcast. My name is Kyle West. I am accompanied by Adam Carlson.
Heyo.
Kyle Smith.
How's it going?
Surviving the frigid cold weather. It's like 15 degrees outside right now.
Oh, it's nasty here, too.
Mm-hmm.
We have gotten a ton of snow. I don't even know what to do with it.
Probably shovel it.
No, wait for the plow guy.
Yeah.
There's too much snow for one man.
Call Mr. Plow.
But I'd like to welcome everyone to episode number 126 of the Purple People podcast. This one is titled Forgetting Brandon Marshall. It's kind of an older reference, but oh well.
That is, I love you. I do. Every week, it never fails. That is one of my favorite movies of all time, so thank you for that.
You only like it because there's a dong in it. Good old dong.
That's it. That's exactly right. And it starts in the first 5 minutes. That's exactly why.
Yep. They should just stop it there and roll the credits.
Like any good movie, you should.
That's right. Well, we don't have a lot of quick hits today, but what we do have, so let's get them out of the way. But the one I do really like is the Bud Grant one. That one's great. See, the city of Minneapolis is naming a section of the street after former legendary Vikings coach Bud Grant. Now, that section of the street used to be named after baseball legend Rod Carew, but they decided to move his section closer to the baseball stadium. So the new section will be named Bud Grant Way.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Bud Grant, who is 87 years old, gave a fantastic quote over this one. I think you guys will like it. And he also, this was in relation to the street being named after him and also a statue that he got built in his honor earlier in the year. He said, "I'm still alive, that's the big thing." And that's it. That's the extent of his quote on getting a street named after him.
Statues are good, roads are good, but being alive probably tops that list.
Yeah, I agree with Bud Grant. Being alive, that is a pretty big thing.
And I'm glad that he had a chance to be the Vikings coach, because I've got my Bud Grant autographed mini helmet, and that ain't going anywhere anytime soon. It's one of my prized possessions. Mike
Zimmer reminds me a lot of Bud Grant in the fact that they are both very no-nonsense coaches. Like, they speak when they have to, they're to the point, they don't beat around the bush. Like, I like that out of both of them.
So very true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you were like a lot of Vikings fans, you were waiting around on Twitter today to find out if Adrian Peterson was going to be relieved from the exempt commissioner's permission list, but we had absolutely no news of that after sitting and watching Twitter for approximately 5 hours, so as of now, we don't know what the NFL is moving towards on Adrian Peterson's status. We do know that he missed a meeting on Friday to discuss potential punishments for his infraction, well, I'll call it. And we do know that Nike had terminated the contract with Adrian Peterson. So at least we know that the marketers out there are taking it rather seriously. And if there's money involved, the NFL's taking it seriously too.
Mm-hmm. Now I know how those 24-hour news networks feel when they're waiting for a story to break and they have absolutely nothing to report on. So you just sit around all day and just try to kill the time. And yeah, that's what AP Watch 2014 was like today. It's like we kind of expected that around maybe 1 or 1:30 we were going to get an announcement, and it just never happened.
Nope. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You can chase that white Bronco for hours, but as soon as you leave the TV, that white Bronco is going to stop.
Yep.
And for you younger listeners, I'm referring to the O.J. Simpson chase a long time ago.
But
I'm not saying that Adrian Peterson killed anyone or anything like that, so don't equate me with that. I'm just saying the situation of waiting and watching is what I'm talking about.
Hey, but the Bronco chase was a lot more fun to watch than Twitter. We should probably move on to the next
You know, it wasn't
subject.
fun to watch.
The Vikings football this week.
That game on Sunday was not fun to watch. I was so frustrated through the entire game, and I'm one of those fans that likes to try to stay optimistic and think, okay, a score on this drive and we can tie things up and things will be just so much better. And I turned into one of those fans that was just insanely negative, and I hated myself for it. I did.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it happens at least one game every season being a Vikings fan. Sometimes 2, 3, or 4, but that was hard to sit through.
Yeah.
Oh.
I hit rock bottom this game. It sure did. But we have to give away our awards like we do every week, so let's do it. Let's talk with Mr. Smith about his game ball first.
All right. I have not given a game ball ever since my time on the show to either one of these gentlemen. Surprise, surprise, I'm splitting the game ball, by the way. That never happens.
No, come on.
I'm sure you guys, one of you probably thought this too, but the perks of going first. My game ball goes to Mike Prefer and Andrew Sendejo. Thank you,
All right.
Andrew Sendejo, the safety, for having one carry and the longest run of the day for 48 yards. And Mike Prefer with a genius fake punt. That was awesome. That was the highlight of the game for me. I jumped out of my seat, and that was one of 2 times the entire game that I did that. So kudos to both of you. That was awesome.
One of the fun things about that is that earlier this week, Mike Prefer did an interview where he said that the special teams play so far this year for the Vikings was unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you he was accepting that nice run by Andrew Sendejo to pick up a first down on the fake punt, that's for sure.
I don't know whether or not to label that the fact that that was our longest run of the game a game ball or a donkey. Like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it was an awesome play. That was a lot of fun to watch. And at that specific moment in time, we had all the momentum, and I don't know how we weren't able to capitalize on it. But we'll get to that in a minute. I'll give out my game ball.
All right.
Next. I'm going to go with a wide receiver that we don't really speak about too much, but this was his coming out performance this game. Charles Johnson, 6 receptions for 87 yards. It was a nice little performance he's put on. He's been able to kind of quietly build game after game a little bit of rapport with Teddy Bridgewater, and I like that. I like seeing the young kid step up, so I'm proud to give him my game ball for this week.
I actually wrote an article over on thevikingage.com, if you should check that out if you get some time, about how Charles Johnson has developed from a player that wasn't even on the Vikings roster at the beginning of the year to one of Teddy Bridgewater's most reliable targets. And his story so far this year is one that could blossom into something awesome in the future. So the fact that Charles Johnson was able to come back from that torn ACL last year and just come out and play the way he has says a lot for his character, his dedication to the game, and who he is. So congratulations, Charles Johnson, on your first game ball. I suppose that means I got to give away a game ball, right?
Yes, it does.
I was trying to figure out, I was like, okay, why is everyone quiet here? Let's keep going. Well, I had 3 names down, so I might as well do the old splitsaroo between the other 2, right?
Sure, why not?
Now, I should give it in full to Xavier Rhodes for his first career interception. And I could give it to Harrison Smith for his interception. And I feel bad giving it to either defensive player in this game. But they both did have great games, and I love that Xavier Rhodes broke that, broke the streak of not having an interception. So I was going to say it a different way, but that would have sounded.
Okay, sorry.
Could that have been, I'm glad that he got it, but could that have been like any less effective of an interception for that team? Like, it did absolutely nothing for the Vikings for him to get that interception at that specific moment in time.
Although
I'm
it
sure.
didn't do a ton for the team, it's something that I think was a major step for him.
Yeah, it maybe it'll help build his confidence, but it was
I hope so. It's got to be disheartening to see every time Harrison Smith gets an interception, he almost runs it back.
yeah.
And then the Vikings can't convert it into any points.
Oh Lord.
Wah, 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 wah.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
All right, my donkey. I'll go first on this one since I went last time. My donkey, I rarely go to a player that doesn't step on the field. Rarely. But this one goes to Norv Turner. When you've got that long to prepare for a game against Chicago, and you have that much game footage of how to attack that secondary, that weak pass defense, and you come out with that game plan after a bye, that's unacceptable.
I agree with you. I have a rant about North Turner, but it might not be the one you guys think, so I'm going to save that for a little bit later on in the show. I'm going to give mine, since we are all in the giving mood of splitting balls up and giving it to multiple people. I'm just going to go ahead and give my donkey ball to every
Donkey
other
ball.
donkey ball. I'm going to give donkey balls to every other receiver on the team other than Charles Johnson. So Cordero Patterson gets one, Greg Jennings gets one, Jarius Wright gets one, Adam Thielen gets one, because you guys stunk it up this week. No one could get open. Teddy didn't complete a pass to a wide receiver until what? What was it? Second quarter?
Yeah, it was. There was about 2 minutes to go in the before the half. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really late in the game. None of you guys got it going. Cordero, you had one catch for 3, or wait, no, that's his rushing stats.
He had 2 catches for 24 yards.
Yeah, 2 for 24. That's stupid. Like, that's just stupid. Like, you need to have bigger games than this. And that's everyone on the receiving core. Like, Teddy can't do it on his own. You guys got to help him out. So, yeah, that's the rest of the receiving core gets donkey balls for the week.
Donkey balls for everyone.
Well, surprise here. It's 50-50 again. I don't know which.
Oh, I figured you'd go for the easy one.
Oh, I am. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's coming. Drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Congratulations, Brian Robinson and Matt Khalil. Brian Robinson with no tackles on the day. Matt Khalil, thank you for letting Jared Allen, who's having a very down year, I don't care if he's sick or not, on the first play of the game, get a sack on our quarterback. I was pissed. And, I mean, let's give some credit where credit's due. A lot of people had a lot of things to say about Jared leaving. Some people were sad. Some people were neutral about it. I understood why. Some people were happy. Jared's a star player. I mean, how many years in a row? Is it 7 now? He's had double-digit sacks.
Mm-hmm.
He's sick this year. He's on a new team, whatever excuse you want to make for him or whatever it is. But he was just making lunch meat out of Matt Khalil, and it was just sickening to watch. And I called this last week. If you guys listen, I was like, I hope that we win, but this is going to be Chicago's coming out game. It could be, and it was. And
just a quick correction though, that first play of the game, it wasn't a sack; it was a 1-yard gain by Teddy Bridgewater.
Was it? Oh, excuse me. Sorry. You guys.
The sack came later on a play where Matt Khalil looked like he was standing still, and
Yeah.
I mean, I know it doesn't help because they did go a lot together in practice since Matt came to the team, but thank you for correcting me on that. I thought it was pretty early.
Jared celebrated that first play like it was a sack, though.
he sure did.
Yeah.
Yep.
He did. He roped up the sack dance there.
He celebrates routine plays now.
And Brian Robinson, Everson has stepped in. He had a quiet game yesterday, but Brian Robinson, man, you're the leader on that defensive team next to Chad. You've been here a while. You've been in the league a while. You got to make more plays, man. I don't know. He's having a quiet year overall, but that's why I'm splitting it.
I was really disappointed in the Vikings pass rush in this game, including Brian Robinson. The fact that they were unable to get to Jay Cutler and even distract him or even force him out of the pocket on a regular basis was something that just shouldn't have happened. This Vikings team is better than that, and when you give wide receivers with that size and talent and jumping ability, the ability to go for a jump ball. Let's talk about something for a second here, because this just absolutely blows my mind. When you've got a 5'10" cornerback and a 6'5" wide receiver, and you put that 5'10" corner out on an island against him, he's not going to win very many jump balls. It's just not going to happen.
And there were a lot of those that you go back and you watch the tape. Josh Robinson was playing good coverage.
Yeah.
Like, he was assignment sound where he was supposed to be. But that was a physical mismatch. Like, I don't know what they were expecting him to do in those situations. And it was disheartening that we know Mike Zimmer has all this experience on defense. He's a damn good defensive coordinator. He should have been able to make adjustments in the game to do something, slide coverage, do whatever you've got to do to get some help, and he didn't do it. And I don't know. That to me is really annoying that continued to happen throughout the game.
Well, the Vikings don't really have those taller corners that can come in and do the work. For some reason, Sean Prater was deactivated for the game, and he is one of the corners on the Vikings that has the most height. So he might have been a better option for this game. But if you listen to Zimmer's post-game conference, he did say that there's not much you can do about it. I mean, he couldn't make his corners grow. That was one of the things he said.
Yeah, you better believe that after this game, Mike Zimmer had a telephone conversation with Rick Spielman, and he brought up the fact that we need some taller corners in Minnesota next season. So, I can guarantee you that conversation happened after that Chicago game.
I want to jump in real quick, too. I took over Adam's spot, and I don't know why. I just got a wild hair up there Sunday, but I was watching the game, had nothing to do. I tried to give as many updates and crucial plays in the game on the Facebook page. I just want to let everybody know, when I posted about Josh Robinson, there was no negativity towards that. It's exactly what you're saying. He's a smaller corner. He has had a turnaround year, and not to say that his year last year was horrible, but he's having a good year. When I said that he was having trouble with a ferocious wide receiver tandem, just take it for face value. I wasn't saying that he was struggling, and as Kyle put out earlier, he was doing his job to the best of his ability, but physically he was just outmanned. And
right.
I had flashbacks. I was starting to shiver a little bit. I was like, is that Jay Cutler or Brett Favre throwing those Hail Marys on the field? And that's exactly what it was. Deep Hail Mary passes to giant receivers. And
he was not throwing to open receivers. He was just chucking it down the field.
And it's all about timing. And when you're having to chase down somebody so big like Brandon Marshall and you're 5'10", you're already at a huge disadvantage. So when I posted that, I just want to clear the air there. I'm going to talk more about some Facebook stuff in a little while. But no disrespect to Josh Robinson. Played his heart out. But like Zimmer said, there's not really much you can do.
And hey,
the sickest part of the whole thing was that the Vikings couldn't get that pass rush to allow Cutler not to have the time to make plays like that. That to me was the biggest, just absolute boneheaded part of the day. I mean, they've used a third-round draft pick to bring in Scott Creighton, who we haven't seen at all. They paid big money to keep Everson Griffin. They gave Brian Robinson a big contract. They brought in all these run stuffers, and I don't want to get too down on Sharif Floyd, because despite the poor play on the defensive line, he was one of the bright spots. But there's no reason why the Vikings couldn't have sent a couple more blitzes and just to get some pressure on Jay Cutler. I was very disappointed by the game plan entering this game, and I don't understand why this approach was taken against this Chicago Bears team. The only thing I can wonder is if it was just a gross undervaluation of the Chicago team.
I think so too, because it should have been pretty obvious that if you're going to go in and play the Chicago Bears, how you beat them defensively is to get up and you hit Jay Cutler in the mouth. And you do that enough times, you get him off balance, he starts throwing interceptions, he starts making bad decisions. That's how you beat Chicago. And I really do feel like early on in that game, Minnesota, hey, we went out there, they made a couple plays, they had the fake punt, they were able to keep it going, and it felt like this is a Chicago team that's ready to implode upon itself. Like, all the ingredients were there for that to happen. But for whatever reason, the defense could not get them off on third down all of a sudden. And they allowed Jay Cutler to go out there to move around. They weren't getting pressure to him. He's making plays outside the pocket, down the field, and it just never got going for the Vikings. It really never did, offensively or defensively.
No. Just didn't happen. A lot of dislike on social media for Mr. Teddy Bridgewater. Fans are calling for the team to draft another quarterback and saying that he is not the man in Minnesota based on what they saw in this game. And I just want to say, don't measure Teddy Bridgewater by this game. The fact that he had zero time in the pocket because of his offensive line. The fact that he had wide receivers that weren't getting open against a defense that was just awful.
Mm-hmm.
And the team there were plays being called that had no time to develop, but they were being called anyway. How can you run a deep route when you don't have time for the wide receivers to get deep enough to separate? The whole thing stunk.
Yeah, the thing about Teddy is that people go, well, if that would have been Christian Ponder who would have had a game like that, people would be eating him alive right now. Well, no shit, because Christian has 2-3 years of experience. You gotta remember, Bridgewater's only been in here for, 5 games that he's started? Yeah. It's five games, guys. He's a rookie. He is
22 years old.
Yes, he's a young rookie. You watch him on the field, you can tell why Minnesota wanted to sit him for a season underneath Matt Castle and let him learn and let him develop. That's not a knock on Bridgewater or his skills. That's just the fact that he is a extremely young quarterback. But you just gotta hope that he can get through this. And we've been saying that for so long because of what we went through with Ponder, that it's easy to want to turn on Bridgewater, but don't do it. This kid's going to do good things for Minnesota. It's just, you got to get more help around him to allow him to do it.
Well, let's talk about some of the positives of Teddy Bridgewater, because he did complete over 64% of his passes when he went 18 for 28, which, despite the pressure and the lack of the plays developing, that's a pretty impressive percentage to complete passes, even though they were, on average, short passes. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater did only average 5.6 yards per attempt, which is a very low number.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have to dump the ball off every chance you get, otherwise you're going to get sacked, what can you do?
Precisely. And I'm pretty much at this point ready to say it. Matt Khalil is a bust. Like, I bold statement, whatever. Right now, he's playing like a bust. And it needs to get it shaped up because he's getting Teddy killed in the pocket. There were times where Jared Allen, and like we said, Jared Allen, I love him. I still wear his jersey, but he's past his prime. And he just blew by Matt Khalil in that game. Like, Khalil was just standing there, and Jared was able to just blow right by him. Like, I literally do not know what's wrong with Matt Khalil.
I'm so hesitant to slap a bust on him because I know he has the talent. I know he has the potential. I've seen him do it before. But the problem is that he's doing poorly so often on such a regular basis now that it's hard not to put that label on him.
Before don't cut it. Before does not cut it. It's what
the NFL is a now league.
Yeah.
It is.
It's like, what did you do last Sunday? Well, last Sunday you sucked. What did you do the Sunday before that? You sucked.
I want to get into another weird thing. Let's go on a tangent here.
Okay.
I brought up a couple of stats here. So we have some people taken in the draft this year. Blake Bortles, and I didn't get into an argument. I'm not going to argue with our listeners on the page because I love everybody's opinion, and maybe you'll enlighten me to think a different way and see something that I didn't see. But when you're comparing him to Christian Ponder, that's not fair. And when you start saying, well, he can only complete 5-yard passes, ask yourself why before you make a statement. I challenge you to do that. Why? We have a guy who was slated by the NFL and all the analysts to have a breakout sophomore year, and he's having the biggest sophomore slump, in my opinion, of anybody that got drafted last year, and especially for a first-round pick. Cordero's not doing good this year. And you know what? It's fine. He needs time to develop. It's only his second season. But back to what I was saying. In my opinion, and I said this on the page, I would rather have a quarterback who thinks we can teach him to get rid of the ball quicker. I'd rather us be able to teach him to get rid of the ball quicker than to make terrible decisions all the time, i.e. Blake Bortles. Sorry, Jacksonville fans. I'm going to rag on him. He started how many games this year? And he's got 14 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's atrocious. You don't want that. Turnovers is a guaranteed way to help your football team lose. Teddy is not in the positive or even at the 50-50 mark for touchdowns and interceptions, but he's close. 4 touchdowns on the year in the air, 6 interceptions, and he's got a rushing score. He might have a pair of those. They're not showing the rushing stats here. But it's very rare that you have a quarterback just come in and be awesome or be good. The only one from this class is Derek Carr. And, I mean, let's face it, we've got more wins in Oakland. What do you want? You can't have a Super Bowl winning team every single year. But I wanted to throw that in there. This is a now league, but people get thrown to the wayside that are still good athletes. And despite yesterday, I know they got annihilated, but take a look at Mark Sanchez. First 2 seasons, takes his team to the AFC Championship. Then he has a horrible year. The butt fumble happens, and everybody's ready to crucify him and kick him out of the NFL like Tim Tebow. And then he comes back, the starter gets hurt, and he proves he can lead a team to victory, and he's a better athlete. Give Teddy time. Calm down, people. He's only played 6 games.
That would make a really good T-shirt. Give Teddy time, because I think that's what the Vikings need to do. Or, excuse me.
Well, both in the pocket and in his development.
Yeah, no kidding. But fans in particular need to take this as well. And hey, we're all guilty of it because we're all fans. We want to win right now. We're tired of saying, "Oh, we're in another rebuilding year here in Minnesota."
Right.
But it's like legitimately, you've got to understand. And this is my rant about a little bit about North Turner and Cordero Patterson and stuff, is that people are already saying, fire North Turner. No, don't. The worst thing you could do would be to force another offense onto Cordero Patterson, who is already, like, this is Cordero's, I think, 3rd system that he's had to learn in his time in Minnesota. Like, guys, you've got to give it more time than the little short window that we've had with North Turner. Like, you can't just say so soon, fire him, bring in a new offensive system, so that Teddy has to learn a new system, the whole team has to learn a new system. You don't do that. You've got to give everyone, coaching staff included, time to continue to develop.
Well, let's be honest, too. North Turner's systems are what they are. They're complicated.
Yeah.
From almost every standpoint, from blocking to routes to timing, everything is complicated. And when Matt Castle went down and Teddy Bridgewater came in, those game plans got simplified. Because Teddy Bridgewater is a rookie. He needs a little bit different of a look than Matt Castle does. Because Matt Castle is a veteran, even though he has questionable play at times. He is a veteran. He's an established player in the NFL.
And he's been through enough systems that he could pick up like a complicated North Turner offense, relate it back to what he knows, and be able to execute it. This is Teddy Bridgewater's first time learning a full NFL offense, and he's got a really hard one that he's got to learn. So he's doing fine. Like, Teddy is doing fine. The team will be fine.
It may not be this season, because right now I think that this loss pushes any hopes and dreams of a Vikings playoff run out the window.
Although we're technically not eliminated.
In the picture, it still says Vikings are in the hunt, but I'm not there.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. There's just going to have to be a lot of we're going to have to win out to do that, in my opinion, or maybe one more loss, and then there's going to have to be some weird losses and wins from other teams. It didn't help yesterday, and we're 0-3 in the division. I know everyone doesn't like the reminder of that, but it is what it is. And I want to shortly, give me 20 seconds to piggyback off what you guys said. I understand the frustration. It's every year it feels like in recent years since the playoffs we went to, I don't want to call this a rebuilding year. Well, you have to take it for what it is. It's just like a deck of cards. When you get your hand, it is what it is. You have to play with what you have. It would be stupid to try to go out and find somebody in the middle of the season. It would be stupid to kick Teddy out. I mean, I hate to. It seems like we do it every episode, but do you want Christian Ponder to start, or do you want Teddy Bridgewater to get more playing time?
Mm-hmm.
Be real and ask yourself that. I mean, just give it time. Be patient. I've said this a lot. Be patient. Good things will happen. We have the pieces in place, but it's kind of like baking a cake. It's going to take time. You're going to get a little dirty, but the end product is going to be what you wanted. So everybody just ride it out. It is the wave.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a weird question, idea, comment about yesterday's game, though. Because I say yesterday because we're recording this on Monday. Now, what was the point in activating Kyle Rudolph for that game?
Oh, you read my mind.
To try to shake the rust off from him. And that's as best as I can figure, is that
Just to let him get out there and run a couple of routes?
just let him get out there. Yeah, unfortunately, let him get us penalize the team for being out there on the field. But no, you got to get him out there. You got to get his game legs underneath him. You got to get him actual game time underneath North Turner's offense. That's what it's about. Like, what would the point of sitting him be when you hope that he's going to be as big of a part as this offense? You want him to be a really
Sit
big...
him so you could activate Sean Prater.
I get that, but at the same time, you want experience between Teddy Bridgewater and Kyle Rudolph. Like, you want to build that, and it starts now. And it just happened to be a really ugly start to it, but you got to start sometime with it. You know what I mean?
I understand that you need to get your sea legs. I get that. But really, it was just an absolute mess. And he didn't even have a pass thrown his way.
Mm-mm.
I just didn't understand activating a player who you knew was going to be that limited when you could have had a taller cornerback available.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that doesn't make sense. Now, I know that there's something we haven't talked about that was a big deal in the game for both people watching at home and the players on the field. And to talk about the game clock, I'm going to let the Kyles do the work on that one.
Oh, we're going to talk about the game clock. That was an interesting thing that the clock in Chicago just kind of quit working. Mike Zimmer said after the fact that, we're not blaming the clock in Chicago for the reason why we lost the game, but he did say that it was bullshit, and I do agree with him. Like, how hard is it to make sure your clocks work in your stadium, Chicago? Like, I don't know. It's just another weird situation to have to put your young quarterback through that Teddy Bridgewater should not have had to have put up with.
And to piggyback on that, if we were in Minnesota and that happened and Chicago lost the game, because I'm not saying we lost because of the game clock. We were outplayed on Sunday.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I mean, anybody that watched the game could agree on that. But if Chicago comes to the gopher hole and that happens, are Chicago fans going to be pissed off? Yeah, they're going to be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And I have it too right here for the quote. The clocks here are bullshit. The whole day, the whole thing was going out. It's just a whole other thing. And then politely at the end, excuse my language, from our coach. But I don't understand it. We said it before the show started tonight when we were all just, BSing around. There are things you go through in a day. The athletes stretch, the cooks downstairs, and they're preparing all the meals earlier that day. The restrooms get cleaned before the public comes to the stadium. I think somewhere on some checklist is, man, we should see if the game clocks work.
I would think so. I remember the quote that Mike Zimmer had earlier in the season about how he was going to write a book just based on all the unusual, strange things that have happened to him this season. And here's another chapter, like the Chicago clock. Like, really, if Mike Zimmer, welcome to Minnesota. Like, this is the strange stuff that happens to this team. And it's happened to us since the beginning of time. And hopefully we can get it to finally stop happening sometime here shortly. But
yeah, Minnesota sports, it's an unpredictable thing, that's for sure. Especially as a Vikings fan, you know that you are more than likely going to suffer some heartbreak by the time the season's over.
Oh, yeah.
Minnesota Murphy's Law. That's what I said especially after the 2010 season, thinking Mr. Favre was going to come back and we're going to have a miracle year. Minnesota, Murphy's Law. Prepare for it, because then things won't seem strange when it happens.
Well, aside from that, we had after that interception by Harrison Smith, the Vikings offense took the field, couldn't get anything going, and then we had a missed field goal by Blair Walsh. And really, those points could have made a lot of difference in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would it have been enough to win the game? Probably not. I mean, the Vikings still would have had to have done that drive at the end of the game, but it puts things into a different situation. And this Vikings offense, the fact that they couldn't pick up any yards to help out Blair Walsh or to even make a run at the end zone is sick. When you look at the running back situation, Jerick McKinnon was averaging almost 5 yards a carry. 4.8's a solid number. I know a lot of those yards came on one run for 23 yards, but still, when your passing game isn't there, you have to pound the ball. You have to. You have no choice. Instead, the Vikings went to the air 28 times compared to the 9 designed runs on offense. Well, 10, I suppose, if you count the fullback. And to me, that's an unacceptable ratio for this team when the passing game is not working.
You know what's funny? I watched NFL Network today. I was going to watch some of the game now, but it's almost over. Monday Night Football. But Denver lost, not surprisingly, to a stout Rams defense yesterday. And they said, they're looking at it, they was like, well, you know why Denver's so successful? Because they balance their run with their pass. It helps Peyton Manning get rid of the ball quicker, and he's more accurate. They threw the ball over 50 times. And obviously Teddy didn't do that yesterday, but that's the question mark and why Mr. West gave the donkey away to Norv. It's confusing, and I know he'll figure it out because his job depends on it, but we have been a run-first team for almost the last 10 years. I don't know why you would stop. And I understand that if you look at the stats and how the year's gone, that Chicago's pass defense is horrible on paper this year. But go with what you do. Go with what you're good with. And I don't know if it was just I didn't see a lot of it. I was very frustrated because Chicago had a ton of time of possession. Another reason we lost this game this weekend. But I saw a lot more Jerick McKinnon, which I'm fine with. But I would be okay with the split back carries. Give them equal amounts because fresh legs, all that good stuff. They're different styles of runner. But like you said, this is what we do. And we didn't stick with that game plan. And we got
Did you see how many first downs the Vikings picked up running the football?
Nope.
2.
It's terrible.
How many first downs did they even get total?
10.
Yeah, see, that's
you can't win a football game offensively that way. It's just not going to happen. You have to have
I've seen football games where teams get 10 first downs on a drive.
Uh-huh.
And that's a joke, folks. Don't worry about it. But still, this game was frustrating from beginning to end. And as Vikings fans, we do just have to sit back and go along for the ride because there's nothing we can do about it. We all want what's best for the team, and we all have the things that we want the team to do in order to improve for the next couple seasons. To me, it still might be a little bit early to talk about the draft and focus on the team needs. I mean, still go out and support the team. Watch this team grow and develop. There's a lot of young players on this team that are learning new systems. Be patient. You couldn't expect everything to be known and to be executed perfectly in the first year. So please just be patient, enjoy the game. I know I fell into that trap on Sunday, and hopefully more fans will follow suit and kind of take a step back and realize that, hey, just because the Vikings aren't winning with their first year with the new head coach and offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, schemes, rookie quarterback, and all that stuff, just because they're not winning championships in their first year or even making a playoff run, that doesn't mean that this season is disposable or garbage in any way. So please just remember that.
Nothing else I'd rather be doing on Sundays than watching Vikings football, even when it's Vikings football that raises my blood pressure by like 20 points. I'd still want to sit down and watch it. Like there's nothing else I'd rather do.
Agreed. And you
Mhm.
know what? We got another test, a hard test Sunday. Here's a segue for Sunday's game. But we have the Green Bay Packers who are red hot right now. But if you want to go off of stats or just something fun to put a positive spin, not last season at home, but the season before, we did beat them. And we had a crucial win that day. Anything is possible. I'm actually looking forward to the game. I think Coach Zimmer said in the press conference, he's like, this is the stuff we did earlier in the year where we were confused. And I don't know why we reverted back, but I don't want that to happen again. I think this was a fluke game. I think it was a combination of things. But I'm excited to see the game Sunday. We have a chance to beat a real playoff contender. And the way they're playing right now, they're getting hot. So it not only helps us if we win a division game, it's at home, it's in our favor, but how awesome would that be? I know if we win only 2 games a year and it's against Green Bay, that's a winning season for me. So we've got another chance Sunday.
I am so not excited for the game against Green Bay. The Packers are in the last 2 games, the Green Bay Packers have put up 108 points.
They know what they're doing.
The Vikings haven't done that in the last 6 games.
You know they're going to target Josh Robinson too. I hate to say that, but
Well, the thing is that Green Bay's offense is much different from Chicago's. You're going to see Josh Robinson match up a lot better against a guy like Randall Cobb than he did against a guy like Alshon Jeffrey. So the dynamic's going to be different, which is a good thing for the Vikings because they don't have to worry about going out and guarding these super tall, lanky, jumping wide receivers. They've got very solid wide receivers in Cobb and not Greg Jennings. Wow, what year am I living in? I'm still picturing Greg Jennings as a Packer. That's not right. And Jordy Nelson, of course. They've got some young, up-and-coming wide receivers, too. And you can never count out anybody on the field when Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback because he can distribute that ball wherever anybody's open. I know that Vikings fans hate giving Aaron Rodgers props, but the man is a very talented quarterback. And I don't know, I'm not looking forward to this because I think that Green Bay scores way too many points and it's going to put the Vikings in a big hole and they won't know how to come back from it because they're still a young team searching for their identity. And I just don't think that this is going to be the game where the Vikings get things back on track.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to flip the script. I love playing Green Bay. I absolutely love the Vikings and the Packers. When they go at it, I am looking forward to seeing someone on this defense go out there and hit Aaron Rodgers. And I think if this team plays aggressive, and Mike Zimmer is going to be on these guys all week, you better believe that he's pissed off after that performance they put on in Chicago. He's going to be all over his defense to get them out there playing and playing aggressive. If they can do it, hey, you know what? There's a chance. I agree with Kyle Smith. There is always a chance that this team can go out there and maybe they can get the upset and we can get a win against Packers and show that we're a team that is on the rise and that you got to look out for Mike Zimmer and the Minnesota Vikings.
I don't think the Vikings need to get a win to show that, though. I think that even if the Vikings do get a loss, but they play well and they're competitive, at this point in the development of the offense, the defense, the coaches, and the players, I think that even competitive would be nice. Yeah. A win would be fantastic, don't get me wrong. I'm always hoping for a Vikings win.
Another thing to consider is we had the odds stacked against us earlier in the season. We had Christian come in and play because Teddy rolled his ankle. We had to err on the side of caution and help. It was in Green Bay, and it was a mess. It was a primetime game too. But we have a lot of things in our favor. And like you said, Mr. West said, Mike Zimmer is not happy with what happened yesterday, especially coming off of a 2-game, hot streak and a bye week to get healthy and blah blah blah. But I've got 2 X factors for you, and I don't know how you guys feel. We've been talking a lot tonight. It's just another long podcast, but Kyle Rudolph, maybe he actually plays Sunday, could help us. We didn't get any word on Adrian Peterson. There's always a possibility. They said that the NFL is expediting to get his outcome for all the stuff that's happened. I don't know that it'll happen. I still say it's a less than 10% chance, but could you imagine if out of the blue Adrian Peterson shows up to play the Packers Sunday? I don't know.
There's
That
a
would
possibility.
Oh,
I would love it. I would even go even less. I would say there's probably less than a 5% chance of that actually happening. But if anyone could show up and be in game shape after missing that much time, it is going to be Adrian Peterson. And I have no idea what that would do for team chemistry to all of a sudden throw him back out into the mix like that. But why not? Why not, right?
I gotta admit, I don't like the Adrian Peterson situation, but I would be interested to see what he would look like running mad after all this.
I do too.
just a little tidbit. Like we said, very small chance, I believe, in my opinion, that's going to happen. But this all seems like, I wouldn't say it's coming to an end, but it's definitely
It's coming to a conclusion.
conclusion. We're going to get an outcome here very shortly.
Well, on that note, I think that we should call this show a quit because we've been talking about a lot of Vikings football.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Remember to go to the Facebook page. Check us out. Me and Kyle Smith handle a lot of work there. Mr. Kyle West is always checking out at Purple People Pod on Twitter. So if you got something that you want to talk about with him, that's the place to send those. And remember to stay classy in Minnesota.